Oh, look, some cool Tom Brady stats. Um, haven't seen those in a while. Leads the league in passing yards and touchdowns in this, his 22nd season at age 44. His 35 total touchdowns are more than a lot of teams. And here's some more cool stats for you, Michael. After 4 touchdown passes against Atlanta yesterday, that was his first time ever having 6 games in a single season with at least 4 touchdown passes. It's the 6th time in NFL history that a player has had 6 games of at least 4 touchdowns in one season. And the previous 5 times, Michael, those guys went on to be MVP. Our Monday MVP, Yahoo's Charles Robinson, is here. Charles, basically what I'm getting at is, at this point, sure, a lot could happen, and with apologies to Jonathan Taylor's 18 touchdowns, is the MVP at this point Tom Brady's to lose?
I would say that he is leading headed to the clubhouse. I think Aaron Rodgers probably have something to say about it down the stretch. And I'm not going to lie, watching Kyler Murray step back on the field in Chicago in a game that I was like, it's going to be, it's that time of year where it's going to be gusty, probably a little chilly. I thought this guy's going to be rusty. He's going to come out and it's going to take him a couple of games. And he looked exquisite. And I thought to myself, I was a little sad that, he had missed that 3-game stretch, but I can't convince myself that Kyler Murray cannot ace the remainder of the season with the Arizona Cardinals. And they have a pretty decent schedule. In terms of, hey, you're going to go play the Rams, you're going to play the Cowboys, you're going to play a couple of teams where you're going to be able to show off, yourself on a national stage in front of a very big audience. I still think Kyler Murray could try to affect the race, but those are kind of the 3 guys that I think right now are in the conversation. And Tom's probably at the top. It's unfortunate in some ways that Tom, being what he is, has become almost blasé. He's just so good that if it were not Tom Brady, if that was Kyler's name with all those stats, we would be like, right. Wow.
He'd be a runaway MVP.
Yeah, whoa.
He'd be the runaway MVP.
Right.
Let me expand the conversation, though. We've been talking about a defensive player maybe being MVP since, 86? Since Lawrence Taylor. I believe that was the last one to be MVP, if I'm not mistaken. T.J. Watt is on pace for 24 sacks. He's leading the league with 16 despite missing 2 games. He had a dozen, I think, pressures yesterday.
Yeah.
And he's got company with Reggie White having 13 sacks in, 3 straight seasons? Double check that for me. Might be 3 straight seasons. Or maybe it's probably more like 5. Somebody said 13 and 3 straight. It's probably like 5 straight seasons. Basically, he and Reggie White are all the people that have had 13 sacks this many years in a row. Could T.J. Watt, especially if he breaks Strahan's single-season record, could he crash the quarterback MVP party?
It's definitely the first time I think I would have considered a defensive player. And then what we saw him do this weekend, he's coming off of COVID. There are some unique circumstances as well.
4 straight seasons, by the way. Sorry to cut you off. Only 2 players with 13-plus sacks in 4 straight seasons. T.J. Watt, Reggie White.
And remember, TJ had an argument to be the defensive player of the year last year. If he had won it last year, I don't think anybody would have, been that up in arms about it. It's an unbelievable tear that he's on. And what's even more remarkable to me, as you said, he's missed time, had a COVID diagnosis, and yet this is how he's playing. And remember, post-contract. I know. To me, I'm not going to lie, it matters to me. Like, to see what Myles Garrett has done post-contract, to see what T.J. Watt has done post-contract, guys who get the contract and then just ball out, continue to ball out, like the anti-Albert Haynes. It says a lot. It really does. To me, it means, and I'm never surprised. Aaron Donald. It's all the guys that when you go out into the field as we do, and we meet some of these players. and we walk away going, yeah, that's a guy who just loves doing what he's doing. He loves to dominate football. He loves to dominate the guy across from him, loves to be in the locker room. These are the ones that after they sign a contract, they're going to show up, and it's awesome to see that.
Yeah, I love that post-contract point about T.J. Watt. And it really, I mean, even before, how about pre-contract? How about getting the deal done? The way he got the deal done, he was like, okay, let's go. Let's just end this thing right now. We're going to get this contract. And the Steelers, he did something that was a little unusual in making it happen, and the Steelers did something that they had never done before in getting this deal done and paying him more than they've ever paid any other Steeler. But let me ask you, since we're talking about MVPs, let's go back to Brady for a second. You can only pick one. What's more impressive about Tom Brady, what he's able to do on the field? Is it here? Is it the recognition and the cerebral nature of Brady? Or is it just physically he can still get it done at 44? What jumps out at you more if you say that is his best trait? Is it his mind or is it his arm?
I think it's his mind, because his mind is what's making his body do what it's doing. I think that physically, to be in the kind of shape he is in his life, and at this point in his life and his career, takes mental discipline. Okay, first off. Secondly, I think that there's an element of, if there are physical shortcomings there, we might not be seeing some of them because of the fact of what he can do mentally, because of the fact that he can get the ball out so quickly, because of the fact that he can throw a pick six that a defensive player makes a great play this weekend in Atlanta and doesn't mean nothing to him. I mean, he's thrown a couple pick sixes this season, and he either, if it's not inside the game or the next week, he bounces back like it's nothing. I think mentally let's be honest. We're talking about the greatest of the greats, right? When we talk about Jerry Rice, there were things about Jerry Rice that were fantastic in football, but mentally he was strong as hell. And anyone who knew Jerry Rice and understood his dedication to himself in the offseason, physically, the way he approached the game. When we talk about Michael Jordan, there was an entire documentary miniseries that was basically about him wanting to destroy guys because of his mentality mentally. I think that is always the undersold part of greatness, is that almost no one I can think of that achieves that level and sustains it without being just mentally better than almost anyone they face for decades.
Interesting question, interesting answer. Also, never not interesting for all the wrong reasons is Antonio Brown. To recap, fakes a vaccine card. Then when he gets busted, thanks to his, the chef he stiffed, fakes a whole clinic and fakes getting vaccinated. Cooks up a story and presents a clinic, only to come to find out that was a lie too. Eventually gets vaccinated after the fact. Suspended 3 games. When it should have been closer to 8, and would have been closer to 8 if not for his own union. So having said all that, Bruce Arians says nothing's off the table when it comes to Antonio Brown. I find it hard to believe that Tom Brady, I'm sorry, I beg your pardon, that Bruce Arians and Jason Light are going to cut Antonio Brown over this. I see them punting it to, hey, the league handled it. They gave him 3 games. He's eligible. That's his first strike with us, mainly because he can still help them. Do you think that the Buccaneers would actually bring themselves to cutting Antonio Brown? I think if anything, they're letting him squirm right now. I don't think they have the guts to cut him.
I know it was part of the bit, but you were right the first time. It's Tom Brady who cuts this guy, nobody else.
Right.
Listen, let's be real here. He's there because of Tom Brady. He got the chance because of Tom Brady. Bruce Arians moved. Remember, Bruce Arians had his spot. Antonio Brown was not going to be in the Tampa Bay locker room. He moved off his spot. Why? Because Tom Brady moved him off his spot. Because Tom Brady said, this is the guy who can be an addition. I wrote yesterday that Antonio Brown might have done this, but he still has the upper hand when it comes to the Buccaneers and this whole thing. And the reason for that is when you look at Gronkowski being healthy, okay, you look at the number of catches Chris Godwin had on Sunday, when you look at what Mike Evans brings to the table.
15.
If straight up, as long as the protection holds, okay, there is no way that the Buccaneers do not create a mismatch every single passing play with Antonio Brown also added to the mix. If you have those 3 wide receivers and that tight end, and hey, even Leonard Fournette's balling right now, there's no way that you do not create mismatches against, I don't care who it is you're playing, as long as the protection holds up. So to me, he is the ace in the hole that they have. They know that. And so he has the upper hand in this. I want to say something else here too. You know, Bruce Arians comes out, he says he's pissed, right? And all this. The Buccaneers are not blameless in this, okay? Because if the NFL's own investigators simply needed to look at the vaccination cards and go, wait a minute, there are 3 players here who all went 90 minutes away from the facility where they could have gotten the shot for free, but they all traveled 90 minutes on the same day to the same facility, but didn't drive together. Maybe, oh, and by the way, one of those guys is a player who cannot be trusted to tell the truth. Maybe the Buccaneers should have done a little more due diligence instead of having Dr. TB12 take photos of vaccination cards and send them in. And by the way, who's not an employee of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, submit these photos of these cards. Okay, so we can't sit here and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can be upset all they want, and I get why. The guy blatantly straight up lied. And frankly, by the way, Mike Edwards also is a key player there for them. Okay, key depth player in your secondary. Should be mad about that as well. But you could have done yourself some justice here early on if you had paid attention and at least said, hey, who might we need to worry about when it comes to the vaccination cards? Yeah. And who would be number 1 on that list? It's the guy it's the guy who wanted his helmet so badly with the Raiders. He spray painted himself to try to skirt that loophole. Maybe this guy is somebody we should take a look and see if there are any irregularities, especially now that we know other teams clearly have caught other players doing this and said, you sure you want to submit that? You sure you want to submit this card? Like, think about this. There's a reason why we're asking you, do you want to submit this Vax card? And clearly other teams took care of this. So I do not hold the Tampa Bay Buccaneers blameless in this. And I would be stunned if he is not on the team after the 3-game suspension, knowing that the ultimate goal and the ultimate reason why he's there in the first place is to win a Super Bowl, and they will be a better team and more capable of doing that with him on the field. And by the way, I would suspect inside the locker room, there are other players who have a level of understanding when it comes to not wanting to get vaccinated. Because I listened to Ezekiel Elliott tell me, here's how I grew up. This is what my household was like. Here's the reasons why I did not want to get vaccinated. He did it, but I did understand what he was telling me about his reticence. I'm sure there are other Tampa Bay Buccaneers players who go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. See, the problem with that, though, is because we can all do that, right? I mean, I grew up this way. Well, you know, that your premise is that the way you grew up, that everything that was done was the right way to do it, or was an acceptable. It maybe was acceptable, but it's not the only way. So if I did that, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I'm glad I grew up the way that I did, but at some point you've got to make some decisions and you got to weigh information. You can't just fall back on, well, I grew up this way and so that's the way it is. If there's an overwhelming amount of information that says maybe you should go in a different direction. But my final question for you, you already touched on it. I'm finally acknowledging this team in Arizona, finally, the Cardinals. Is there any hesitation? I mean, I keep scrutinizing them. Something's wrong. Right. Maybe the quarterback's not that good. Offense not that good.
There.
Coach is going to fall apart. Is there any issue with the Arizona Cardinals? Are they just a great team?
They are, and I will help you cross that bridge because I had to myself. And there are 2 things that will help this, okay? Number one is the defense is 100% legit, okay? Like if you go and just, pick any 4 or 5 games this season, watch that defense closely, whether it's Budda Baker. I mean, they have a number of star level defensive players, okay? And that is part of what floated Colt McCoy during a 3-game stretch where he goes 2-1, they win 2, division games on the road. So that is a huge component why you should really like the Arizona Cardinals. Another component, though, and it took me longer to catch on to this, is that Cliff Kingsbury has actually shown some growth in his offensive scheme. And what I mean by that is he came into the NFL and it was like, man, Cliff's going to run 4 wide receivers out there, sometimes 5. It's going to be this crazy, ridiculous shotgun spread stuff all the time. They're running the ball really well. And they're running it in a way that you can see they've taken James Conner into the fold and augmented a little bit of what Cliff was doing at Texas Tech to make them a little more of a run-dominant team that's not just predicated on like RPOs with Kyler, okay? That shows a nice step forward for Cliff Kingsbury, and it shows a nice step forward for the Arizona Cardinals that they can mature a little bit and move the offense forward, which is what you want to see out of a young quarterback, a young coach, and the two kind of building and growing together. And then beyond that, we just get back to the things we've already talked about. Kyler's playing at an unbelievable level. His touchdown to DeAndre Hopkins against the Bears, where they tucked it on the inside of the pylon, was one of the best throws you would have seen on Sunday. Okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he's forcing anything. I think as long as he just doesn't take some kind of punishment, again, he sits down the ankle for 3 games. You can't see that happen again. But remember too, there's another thing we should like here. They slow played that so that he could come back at 100%. It was clearly the right move.
3rd team to win 7 straight road games by double-digit margins in one season. The next road game is at Detroit in Week 15. They may not have to travel come playoff time, but whatever they're doing does travel. Chuck, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. Thanks for showing up the hair, too, man. First day without a hat. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, take care, guys.
Be good.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.